ChoujinX Chapter 68 Part 2 Review and Discussion. Guys, I have to say that this chapter is probably the best or a top 5 ChoujinX chapter of all time. And I think this is actually probably the chapter of the entire year that's been dropped so far. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get right into this video. The chapter kicks off right when we ended off last week, where Batista was actually telling Ellie to take the mark because he was on his last legs, and if he was to die with the mark, everybody who basically was born as a Choujin through the mark would also die, including Tokyo and Azuma. So he's basically telling Ellie, you need to take the mark right now, and Ellie is in a panic state. She's like, what? Where are you pointing at? Your mark? What are you trying to say? And she's just very confused. Ellie then notices that the mark is disappearing, and she realizes what I just said. If the mark disappears, Tokyo and Azuma are going to die. So then she tries to go and get Tokyo and Azuma, but right then and there, Batista grabs her arm and stops her from leaving. As soon as Ellie realizes that she's been grabbed, she turns around and just yells, what? Because she's just in a frenzy, like, panic state right now. As she turns around, she looks at Batista one more time, and she realizes that, like, Batista is trying to tell her because Batista's so weak, he can barely even talk right now. I love this representation that Suiishida is not even letting this guy talk because that's how bad it is. You know, that's how weak he is right now. So basically, Ellie just comes to the conclusion that she thinks Batista's trying to tell her that they won't make it in time to get Azuma, to get Tokyo over here to take the mark. But then she ponders, she's like, what am I supposed to do then? Batista then moves the mark to his hand, symbolizing that he wants Ellie to take the mark right now. And Ellie has a little bit of hesitation at first, but then she then thinks about Azuma and Tokyo and puts her hand out, connects it with Batista, and actually takes the entire mark fully. Guys, I don't think you understand. The first time, Ellie took it a little bit, so I can see how nothing would really affect her body. The second time, she took it inside the fake new world, the fake new crafted world, and it showed that as soon as she came out of that world, the mark went back to the new, because in that reality, new actually still had the mark. She reconnaissed back. So I'm just very, very excited as to what will happen next. Tokyo then, after writhing in pain for a couple minutes, wakes up and he's like, wait, I feel better suddenly. What happened? He starts walking towards the direction that he hears a Choujin call. He says a Choujin call. It feels like Sora's. It's this way. It's getting stronger. The mark of the beast. Tokyo then walks into the same room that Ellie is just standing upon the corpse of the new and Batista. And as she turns around, guys, Ellie's eyes are bleeding. And she has the same design inside of her eyes when you get it up close that Azuma did back when he was getting his realization that he was Queen's disciple. So I wonder, maybe when you get the power of X and you truly are an X, your eyes take on that shape. I'm not really sure. But the really interesting thing is that Ellie faces Tokyo and says, the sky is. And Tokyo was just shocked. He's like, what the hell? Like, she's shocked at Ellie's appearance, her demeanor. And then Ellie's eyes go blank and she knocks out, falling off of the mountain of corpses. As Tokyo catches Ellie's body as she falls, he then looks upon Ellie and then looks upon Batista, who is on the mountain of corpses, and basically sees that she has indeed taken the mark and confirms it. We then cut to outside of this building as we see Sora, who was basically looking inside the entire time, and she falls back on her back and says, good. What this could mean, I think, is the fact that Sora the entire time did think Ellie was chosen for the mark. Maybe she thought Ellie was the real successor. I have no clue, because remember, in her vision, the person who ended up taking the actual mark had wings like hers, you know? And the only person at that point who we thought was a bestial Choujin who could have wings like Sora was Tokyo. But it could also be Ellie, because she's able to steal powers. So in my vision and what I think, I really do think that either Ellie will be able to now use Sora's wings or something like that, or Ellie will now be able to, at some point, take Tokyo's bestial powers at some point. I don't know. I have no clue. This could go either direction. Sora then falls into a reflection where she then says, Queen, Yamato Mori, Antis, Tsukiko, I made the right choice, didn't I? As she puts her two hands together. And then she says, yes. So guys, I think this is going to be actually Sora's conclusion, bro. I've been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. We then get a scene where Sora is sitting upon a beautiful mountain hill with amazing, art. And Sora gets called down to one of the soldiers who are now going into battle. Because, she was a nun and stuff like that. So she is basically praised for the people who go into war for her. Anyways, a soldier calls out to Sora. He says, hey, Sora, give me a prayer too. Hey, no fair. And then Sora basically, she's blushing, she's feeling very flustered because all these people are asking her for prayers and shit. Everyone wants her support. We then cut back to real time as Sora's hands are clamped together as she says, how silly. I wish I could fly over Yamato with these wings one more time. Farewell, my beloved world. What a conclusion, bro. We just gotta throw our hands up and think about this conclusion for a second because wow, Ishida, this is just peak. Now, what I think that flashback with the soldiers asking her to pray for them to go into battle, it's basically a symbolism to how they are now going to go into battle now without Sora. So what she is doing is basically praying for their future in this panel. It's a very heartfelt conclusion, but we have to continue with the chapter as helicopters keep landing to, tend to the deceased people and the people who are injured in Yamato Mori. They say, prepare for evacuation. The recovery teams will come back for the dead later. Prepare to evacuate. Now everyone can safely just get out of here. No problem's gonna happen now. Sora's done, Batista's done, everything's done. The mark has been passed on. What could possibly go wrong? We cut to Tokyo and Sandek speaking on the ground as Sandek asks him, you're sure, Tokyo? Ellie, she took on the mark of the beast? And he's basically questioning, how did she do that? Was she the chosen person all along? Sandek then says something very suspicious. He says, then we must prepare. We need to be ready for whatever could be coming. What does that mean, dude? You gotta let us know because that is a very ominous statement. It feels like Sandek kind of knows that something is coming. Something is going to be coming now that someone has taken the mark. Now, obviously, it's known that, the mark holds a large amount of power, so a lot of people want it. We've already seen that throughout the series. But it feels like Sandek knows that something is on the way already. Something is already coming. Tokyo then looks upon Azuma being carried into the helicopter as they're saying, this one's a priority. Check in with the Kita Center Medical Center. His healing cells are almost depleted. Hurry, he won't be able to regenerate anymore. Yes, sir, as they're carrying Azuma into the helicopter. Tokyo then asks Simon and Monoma, who are standing next to him, he says he'll heal. Azuma will, right? Simon then replies by saying if he raises before he regenerates, then that'll make the damage permanent in his psyche. So we could be getting a one-arm Azuma, but I do not think that will happen, specifically for something that we've seen previously as a vision to the future, where he had both arms still attached. Now, of course, it could be a vision, so maybe Ishida at that point didn't plan for him to lose his arm, but now I guess he wants him to lose his arm, maybe just for the cool look or something. Maybe he could have a prosthetic arm or something. I have no clue. But either way, we keep talking as Simon says, worst case, his arm is gone forever. Tokyo's like, what? Monoma's like, Simon, can you please consider Tokyo's feelings? Simon says, I just answered his question. It's the truth. No, Monoma then says, but still, and then boom, everything and everybody at the scene is alarmed. They're like, what? What is going on? What is going on? When we thought everything was perfect, we're looking upon something and we're like, what is going on right now? And in the last page of this chapter, we see something that looks like missiles. Well, basically sounds like missiles too, because everyone is just like shocked. Like we seen the doom. Like I don't think serpents or snakes would make that sort of sound. These are definitely missiles in the air. And as you can see, I know that they could be missiles because back in that vision, that same vision I was talking about earlier, there was missiles So these are definitely missiles here. And I'm wondering, who could this be? Now, last time we seen Sato, he was like, oh, now it's time for me to make my move. But now I'm wondering, who really is this? Who is this? Who could this be? And the first thought goes to Sato / maybe Guelta. We know that Guelta was defeated in the war all those years ago. And for that reason, Yamato had the mark. They had Sora. They weren't really in a place to attack because they never had a threat of Sora's level on their side, just like they had with Queen. But now that Sora is finally dead and the mark has been passed on, I feel like if I'm Guelta, this will be the perfect time to take back the mark. Logically, this is the perfect time to take it back and pass it on to, as we know, Queen has made a couple of successors, vessels for his soul. Vessels for his soul should be able to handle the power of the Mark of the Beast. So maybe they are planning to steal that and give it to one of these vessels that they probably have back home. We know Azuma is one, but there's probably more in Guelta. So yeah, I really do think that Guelta may have come into contact with Sato, and Sato is truly from Guelta, because we don't really know anything about Sato, about his motives, anything, and his psychology is really Guelta-esque. You know, I have a higher ethical viewpoint. I despise beasts. I don't know, man. Sato is a very mysterious character, guys, and I know that these next few chapters are going to be very, very crazy, guys. Like, I'm so hyped for these next few ChoujinX chapters. And yeah, man, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments below. Hey, man, I'm very hyped. I hope you're very hyped. I hope you guys all have a great day. Please remember to like and subscribe if you like this type of content. Bye-bye.